So UFC 313 is behind us. We have a new light heavyweight champion in Magomed Ankalaev. And I'm here to play matchmaker. We're going to make fights for all the fighters involved in the card, from the very first prelim to our main event. So why don't we begin with the first prelim of the night? Jordan Santos and Ossie Diaz. They have a banger of a fight, with Ossie Diaz coming home with a unanimous decision. For Jordan Santos, I would put him up against Abdul Razak Al Hassan. This would be a banger of a fight. Santos showed to be a zombie of sorts in this fight, just taking punishment, walking forward, even after being nearly finished. Abdul Razak Al Hassan, coming off a loss to Cesar Almeida, he's still a huge hitter. It would be interesting to see if Santos can withstand the punishment or if Razak can get the knockout. So Jordan Santos versus Abdul Razak Al Hassan is my choice. For Ossie Diaz, he's 1-1 in the UFC. I think he should stay in the lower end of the division for a while and give us some entertaining fights. I would match him up against Robert Bryczek, who some of you might remember for his fight that he had against Ihor Potieria, the duelist. They have a very action-packed fight, so I think it would be a good matchup. Ossie Diaz being the longer fighter, Robert Bryczek very well-rounded, more on the stocky side for the division. I would say that's a good fight. Myron Santos and Francis Marshall had a close fight, also a banger. I would say Myron Santos, I would pick him up against Eric Silva to give him a little bit of a rest from all the wrestlers that he has been taking. Eric Silva from Venezuela. He also has some grappling chops, but he's not the dedicated wrestler that Myron has been fighting lately. And this fight was super close, so I would not move Santos like super up in the division. For Francis Marshall, I would give him Austin Bashi. Austin Bashi, a very exciting prospect, fell up short in his fight against Christian Rodriguez. But Rodriguez, you know, he has this style to beat these like dominant grapplers. Francis Marshall versus Bashi would be interesting because it would be a fight between like the dangerous on the feet Marshall, who is also a wrestler, against the young phenom grappler in Bachi. So I would be all for it. Carlos Leal put Alex Morono out with violence, and I think it's time to make Carlos Leal versus Li Jingliang. It would be action-packed, it would be violent, and everyone would love it, right? Carlos Leal needs, I think, a name after being like kind of robbed in his first fight and now having this big knockout against Morono. So I would say make this fight. Li Jingliang has seen better days too. He's coming off a loss against Carlos Prates, so I think it's the right time. For Alex Morono, I would give him Son Kenan. It would be a fight between like veterans who are also strikers. Give them both a break from fighting like dangerous young fighters, and they can have like a veterans striking bout. That it would be like a cool addition to any card. Bruno Ferreira got the armbar against Armen Petrosyan. I would say let's make Bruno Ferreira versus Paul Craig. It's not just the visuals of Paul Craig being so tall, but I think like it's a compelling style matchup. Ferreira obviously with the power on the field, but Paul Craig has been learning of fighting long. And then on the ground it will be interesting because you know Paul Craig is so solid from his back. But Ferreira has been showing his grappling chops of his own, especially because he's a decorated judo player. Armen Petrosyan I would put against Eric Anders. Anders coming off that win against Chris Weidman. Petrosyan has been like hovering in the top 15, so I think they are like in similar places right now, and it would be a fight between two like well put together, well-rounded guys. Petrosyan obviously the better striker, more output, but Eric Anders, like even at this age, the better athlete and probably the better grappler too. Joshua Ban shut down the wrestling of Rey Zuruya, and I would say it is time to give Joshua Ban the ticket into the top 15. So I'm saying give him Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva is well-rounded, he has striking, he has grappling. He's coming off that loss against Manel Cap, so he has to defend his spot, right? And Joshua Ban needs to get into that top 15 right now. For Rey Zuruya, I would say try to remake the Stuart Nichols fight. Stuart Nichols is a prospect from Australia who is also like grappling based, but he's also like a pretty decent striker. So I would be very intrigued to see if Zuruya can impose his grappling on him, or if Nichols is able to like get top position or keep it on the feet to get a win there. Mauricio Hufi had the highlight reel of the night with his wheel kick knockout against King Green. I would say with the momentum that Hufi is bringing, give him the chance to enter the top 15 and give him a fight against Benoit Saint-Denis. I would say just do that. Benoit Saint-Denis obviously coming off that rough loss against Renato Moicano and previously to Dustin Poirier, so he kind of needs to defend his spot right now in the top 15. And I would say give him Hoofy. Both guys are young, both guys are big. We have the striker versus the grappler. They can test each other in their lacking phases. I think it's a great fight. For King Ring, I would say it is the moment to match him up against Matt Frebola. They are like in the perfect place. Both guys have been given up-and-comers opportunities to mix results. And now that Bob is like outside the top 15, I think give them both a break from fighting these prospects and make them fight each other. It would be a banger of a fight, and please put this one in front of a crowd. Amanda Lemos shut down Yasmin Lucindo, so Lemos protecting her spot in the division, I think give her Tatiana Suarez. Tatiana Suarez also coming off that loss to Yang Wei Li. Amanda Lemos lost to her last year. There's not much else to do in the division, so if either of those girls wants to make another title run, I think it would be like very important for them to eliminate other like former contenders. And Lemos versus Suarez was a fight that they tried to make once in the past, so I think it's the right time to try to make it again. For Yasmin Lucindo, I would say fight Angela Hill. Angela Hill has been fighting prospects a lot, but this time it would have some upside because Lucindo is ranked above her right now, right? So Lucindo gets to patch some of the issues that she had against Lemos, or Hill gets to climb up the rankings once again. And it would be a good fight. Ignacio Bahamondes got the armbar against Jalen Turner. We're not going to match Jalen Turner because he retired, so we're going to respect his decision and wish him the best. For Ignacio Bahamondes, I would say match him up against Renato Moicano. Renato Moicano got his chance against Makhachev, obviously 1 day's notice, so maybe the UFC wants to give him a higher profile fight. But I think he fell up short, and now Bahamondes is also in the rankings, so I think they are pretty close if Bahamondes is going to replace Turner in the rankings. So I think it is a cool fight. Bahamondes gets to fight a grappler now in the high level of the division. Remember that he just lost 2 fights ago to Ludovic Klein, who is not a grappler but got consistent takedowns in that fight. And Moicano gets to once again fight a striker, and let's see if he can put his own striking to use or get it to the ground. So I think it's a good fight. Justin Gaethje defeated Rafael Fiziev for the second time in another very close fight. I think for Justin Gaethje, you just try to remake that Dan Hooker fight. Justin Gaethje had a rough fight here with a lot of damage, so he gets some time to heal up. Dan Hooker gets to get well from his injury, and we make that fight again. That it's going to be very exciting, I think. And I think we're all very excited about this fight, so let's try to make it again. For Fiziev, I would say give him Beneil Dariush. They're like close to each other in the rankings. I don't think they deserve to fight someone outside the top 15 right now. It will be a cool fight. It's another one of those cases where Dariush has to figure out how to beat a dynamic fighter, especially now that he's aging. Fiziev gets to fight someone that has the grappling chops to put him in danger if the fight hits the mat, so I think it's a good fight. And for our fighters involved in our main event, Ankalaev versus Pereira, I would say make the rematch. I'm not the biggest fan of rematches out there, but there's not like a clear number 1 contender right now. Maybe the winner of Jan Blachowicz versus Carlos Ulberg with the right performance can position themselves up there, but I think Pereira is coming with the title defenses. He's the biggest star of the sport, so Ankalaev probably wants to fight him against because it's good for his brand, right? And if Ankalaev wins again or wins more dominantly this time, he establishes himself as the undisputed best light heavyweight in the world. So that's it with the fights to make, guys. What do you think of my matchmaking? What fights would you make for the fighters involved in the UFC 313 card? If you are interested in hearing my thoughts on the pay-per-view and the upcoming card, I have a podcast. The Early Prelim podcast is coming later today. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel for more content. And I'll catch you guys on the next one.